Governor and Foundation Chair, Ted Huffines. Ted is a graduate of the University of Texas at Austin, where he and his wife met. He has been a district governor of District 5830. He has been, as you all know, very intimately involved with the foundation and also with a number of programs such as Heart to Heart, which rely on and work with the foundation. And if you will, let's give a great Rotary welcome to Ted Huffines.
Thank you, Jack. I appreciate that. Shirley, do I just share my screen now?
Yes, sir.
All right. Come on. Let's do this. There we go. Has everybody got that?
Yes.
All right, very good. Okay, first off, I'd like to extend the same welcome that Jack and Shirley and the others did. Jack, thank you for the introduction. I appreciate that. Appreciate your organization in these times with all that we're experiencing around the world, and certainly here in good old East Texas. It's nice to be able to use technology and get together, and thank you for your initiative with that. I think that's going to be very, very beneficial to clubs and districts in the days ahead. Also want to thank everyone that took time out of your schedule to attend tonight. I hope that the information that I share tonight will be helpful, certainly to our club presidents, club foundation chairs, as you prepare for the 2021 Rotary year. First thing I'm going to talk about is learning opportunities. The Rotary Foundation has done a tremendous job, I think, over the last half dozen years, maybe, of really making the training opportunities online much more robust. And so we're going to look at a couple of them that will be beneficial, I think, to you as club presidents and foundation chairs. The first one deals with the Rotary Foundation Committee Basics. And how you're going to reach that is you're going to go to, and again, you'll have access to this PowerPoint. So just kind of follow along with me, but you'll go to rotary.org, and in the top of the screen, you'll see the word My Rotary, and you'll click on that My Rotary. And at that point, you'll go in and you will either log in, or if you do not have an account, you'll set one up. You'll put in your username, you'll put in a password, just like you do for pretty much every other web-based activity. Once you've got logged in, you'll see a variety of choices across the center of the screen. One of them is titled Rotary Learning Center. And you'll click or actually hover over that. And as you do, you'll see to the left the word Club Roles. And then you can click on that, and then you'll see committees. You can click on that, and you'll see foundation. And the thing I want you to realize is this is a really good course. It's entitled Rotary Foundation Committee Basics. It's 2 hours and 15 minutes. It's broken down into 6 parts, and we'll look at those. The first couple are pretty simple. They're short, getting started, getting ready, which is pretty much a lot of the information I'm giving you. But the next one is managing your foundation committee. And I know there's been a lot of talk at the district level and certainly at club levels, but you know, the question continually comes up, why is it important to have a committee instead of a committee of one? And I would just share my ideas on that. I think you could probably add to this, but first and foremost is it spreads the load. It's not one person having to do the work. The second thing, I think it also offers the opportunity for various points of view. We all come from different backgrounds, different experiences, professionally and personally. And so the opportunity to blend those together, to come up with what's best for our clubs is there. It also increases the opportunities for engagement. We talk continually about growing our clubs And, you know, when you get new members and sometimes even old members, the key to their level of enjoyment and a lot of times staying in a club is their engagement. You know, I would challenge you to as you put your committees together, that you look for the opportunities for new Rotarians. And then certainly, you know, the day's going to come when you need somebody else to take this role. And if they've had some experience on a committee, they're much more inclined possibly to take that on. You know, if you have a large club, I would say in our district, clubs over 40 or 45 might be considered large. Hopefully you could have a committee of 5 people. And certainly people can serve on more than one committee, but you know, there's a lot of opportunity there. And certainly even our small clubs, having a committee of 3, you know, it's not work that has to be done all the time, but when you do have activities going and you're trying to do certain things revolving around the foundation, it's good to have different people to help. The next one is Rotary Foundation Basics. I think you can see that there. Let me see if I can get my cursor working. There we go, right there in the middle. This is a really good club program. You could watch that, or you could have somebody in your club watch it and then share it, or you could just watch it together as a club. You know, Rotary, I think, churns every 3 years on average. And so you've got new members all the time. And while a lot of people know a little bit about the foundation, some people know a lot of people don't know anything. And so to have the opportunity to look at that, to learn those basics, I think would be very beneficial. The next one is a brief one. It talks about protecting personal data. We're going to look at some reports that will be useful to you, and you'll see where that comes into play. But we've all been made aware, you know, for several years now, it seems like, of where data breaches take place. And Rotary International is very intentional about protecting your information. And so this is some good information there. The last one is Rotary Club Central resources. Our district administrator, Shirley, has done some training. I believe she has a webinar on Rotary Club Central. And again, the resources that are available there as you look, again, would be very beneficial. So I'd encourage you to take the opportunity, certainly before your Rotary year begins, to go through this, spend some time. Again, you can break it up in parts so that you know, you're not maybe having to do it at one sitting. Our next one is learning opportunities, again, under the Rotary Foundation. Again, you'll go to rotary.org, you'll go to My Rotary, you'll log in. And when you come in across there, again, next to where you saw Learning Center, you'll also see the Rotary Foundation. And you'll hover over that and you'll see 3 different opportunities. One is grants. I'll talk about that in a second. And then the next one is how to give. The foundation and Rotary International is always quick to give us opportunities to give. And then the next one, it talks about the Rotary Foundation itself. The grant portion really addresses district and global grants. Those are bigger grants most of the time that are done, and how to fill those out and how to apply, you know, frequently asked questions and so on. The next one is how to give. Again, most of you are probably semi-familiar with that, at least, of giving online, how to give by mail and so on. But the one I want you to look at is the about part. This is where the Rotary Foundation, this is a pretty informative piece. It talks about the mission statement for Rotary Foundation. It talks about the impact, where the money goes, the different areas of service, the different areas of emphasis, and how much money is spent yearly through grants on those different ones. The third part is about the rating system. Hopefully most of you are familiar with Charity Navigators. The Rotary Foundation has a 4-star rating. That's something I think we as Rotarians take a lot of pride in, because the money is used what it said it's used for, which is to help people. The third section deals with structure, you know, how it's formed, all the way from basic all the way up to the Board of Trustees that govern all the different things that happen within the Rotary Foundation. And then finally, there's some facts and some reference material. Again, this would be a really good club program. You may not want to talk about Rotary Foundation every week in your club, but you could certainly use this as a club program. Or another option, if you were wanting to help your members become more familiar with Rotary itself, this could be a section or a portion that you talked about, maybe with a Rotary Minute. Let your foundation chair or one of the committee members take a different aspect, and for 4 or 5 weeks, you could talk about the mission one week, the impact the next, and so on. And so giving opportunity for people just to get it in small chunks. All right, next part, and I think this is really critical because this is the one that so often we may or may not even be aware of that are there. And that's the reports that you have access to as a club president or as a foundation chair. Again, you'll go into Rotary.org, you'll go into My Rotary and sign in. And then again, you'll see these, once you've signed in, you'll see across the page several topics, and one of them is called Manage. And when you hover over that with your cursor, to your left, down on the left will be the word Reports. And you'll click on that. And once you do, one of the first things you'll see is your donor history report. And you say, okay, what is that? Well, that tells you exactly where you are, what you've given to the Rotary Foundation, what you've given to the annual fund, what you've given to Polio Plus, if you've given any money to any particular endowments and so on. It also shows your recognition status. And you get to see that, and so you know where you are as far as your Paul Harris Fellow Plus or whatever. The next one the ones that I think are really important though, if you go down a little below that, you'll pass, I think, membership, and then you'll see club reports, and you'll see a section called Contributions and Recognition. And underneath that, it'll say Reports, and you'll click on that, and it'll show you, give you the option of choosing any of these 5 reports. And we're going to look at each one of these because I think certainly the ones that are asterisked, the club recognition summary, the club foundation banner, the club fundraising analysis will be ones that you'll get very familiar with. The others you'll use probably less as a point. Okay. We'll go to the next one. All right. You'll click on the Paul Harris Fellow and Benefactor Report. All right. You'll look at that, and if you can see this, I'll try to use my cursor here. Here's my title. This is for my Rotary Club, Marshall. Whoops, let's go back. There we go. My Rotary Club. This is dated as of the 13th of April, so earlier this week. Certainly I cut and paste this to fit it and to make it large enough for you to see. But first off, the thing that I want you to see is I took the names out in the Rotary ID. That's what would fill these columns over here. But if you look, it tells you that the first individual was a Paul Harris Fellow, and then it tells you when they achieved that date, May 1 of 2012, of course. And it goes down, and if you go down to the Paul Harris next one, same thing, 6th of June 2017. If you go down further, you'll see the Paul Harris plus 1s, 2s, and so on. The difference here is with a Paul Harris plus 1 or any of the pluses, you'll see when they achieved that, but then you'll also see when they originally achieved their Paul Harris Fellow. And I think this is one that, again, you won't use necessarily all the time, but you will use as you want to learn about, how many Paul Harris Fellows your club has. Maybe you want to set a goal. Maybe that's one of your goals as club president, that you want to increase your Paul Harris Fellow members by 10% or 20% or something to that effect. Maybe you're ambitious and you want to be 100% Paul Harris Club, which is very, very doable. You can filter these, which includes, it'll come out originally historical, which will show everybody in your club that was ever a Paul Harris Fellow. But you can filter that down to the active members. You can filter it and remove those that are deceased. So again, it's pretty beneficial. You might ask the question, what is a benefactor? A benefactor is someone who has stated in their will that they're going to give at least $1,000 to the Rotary Foundation upon their death. And so this will list those people. This report for the Marshall Club is actually several pages long. And so if you if you look at that, you would see, you'd click through it. There's actually an arrow down on the bottom right that helps you navigate that page. I need to be clear, each of you, for each individual club, will be able to see your club. You won't be able to see the other clubs. District officers, the district governor, governor-elect are the ones that can see other clubs. Okay, so our next one, and this is one that I think you'll use also quite a lot. This is from the Cedar Creek Lake Rotary Club. This is the club recognition summary. And if you look at this report will tell you the giving amount, the Paul Harris status, are they a Paul Harris Fellow, Paul Harris Fellow Plus. It'll also tell you about their available foundation recognition points, which we'll talk about. And it helps you kind of know who's close to moving to the next level. And I'll point out a couple of these. I apologize if it's small, but I'll just kind of highlight these. Right here, you see the district name, and then you'd have the club number. You can see in their club, and this is again the active ones. I filtered it for active, but they've got 34 Paul Harris Fellows. They have 5 benefactors, and then they have right up here Bequest Society. What is Bequest Society? What's the difference between benefactor and bequest? Well, we said a benefactor was someone who has committed at least $1,000 in their will and put together a codicil in their will to go to the Rotary Foundation. A bequest society member is someone who has done at least $10,000, and those go up in increments. And of course, you certainly get little recognition hardware that you can wear, pins and things like that. You can see from this club that they've got 2 major donors. They've had 56 members that have donated, but they've also got 7 non-Rotarian donors. And you say, well, who are those? Who would those be? Well, they could certainly be family members. Quite often, and I would think this might be possible, I don't know this for the fact, but because of how active the Cedar Creek Lake Club is in their community, actually communities around them, and how supportive they are, I wouldn't be surprised if there weren't some businesses or foundations in their community that said, because y'all do all this good work, we're going to give a little bit to the foundation. They have 1 Rotary Direct member. What is that? That's somebody who either takes a monthly or quarterly automatic online gift to the foundation. Again, right there, they have no non-Rotarians, and you can see up here, they've given all time $185,000 plus. So again, very generous club, done a lot of great things. At the top of this report, you'll have the club name. So this would just be your club, and it tells you right here how many recognition points that you have. In this case, they had 991. It shows you when their last contribution was in June of 2019. I should clarify that this report also was taken just Monday for this Rotary year. We look at a couple of these. The first one, 1,903 recognition amount, very, very close to becoming a Paul Harris plus 1, $97. That might be something that you'd want to talk to that individual about. Encourage them in their giving. They have a large number of points, 703. You can look down here at the bottom of the page. We have an individual that's given $8,062. They're a Paul Harris plus 7. They're very close to becoming a major donor. A major donor would be 10,000. So, less than $2,000. Again, might be something that they might be interested in. Again, you can see when they became a Paul Harris Fellow. Right through this column, and then you can see again the points. I would make this observation. Club like Cedar Creek Lake, and there's a lot of them out in our district, they'd be able to hold a matching points program in their own club if they wanted to try to raise money where an individual gives $100, the club will match it and so on. They'd have to talk to their members. Members would have to be willing to give up some points and apply them to that. But that's very, very doable. I know John Jetter, I know Tom DeWitt, myself, Carol Greenwalt, there's a number of us that could help you if you have a club that, if you go and look at this report and say, that might be something that we want to do to try to increase our foundation giving, either to the annual fund or to Polio Plus. So that's one that you'll want to look at quite a lot. Next one, is our Club Foundation banner report. This report is actually taken from last year's, so it's up to date. It's for the Jefferson Rotary Club. I decided since District Governor Jim Finstrom was here, I'd use his club. This has a lot of information. First off, you can see Jim's club's small. They kind of fluctuate between 9, 10, 20 members. I think they're actually a little higher now because they've had a number of people join. But at the time of this report, they had 11 active Rotarians, but they had 8 that were existing. So that was the number that was used to determine. They had 8 that gave something to the Rotary Foundation. So they were 100%, so they could get recognition for that. That's right here. And then you come to this term E-Ray. I know we have a lot of you that know what that is, and if we did an all call, we could say every Rotarian every year. I would imagine that there's a few here that don't know what that is, but that means those, at least every Rotarian in their club gave at least $25. And at the upcoming foundation banquet, they would receive a recognition banner from the Rotary Foundation. Of course, then it gives you the percentage right below it. And then over here, it's sustaining members. And so you see that word sustaining. Again, Rotary has lots of terms, just like every organization. And in this case, sustaining means they had 2 people that gave at least $100 to the Rotary Foundation. If everyone in their club gave at least $100, they would be a sustaining club. So you get the percentage there below that. And then you have Paul Harris Society eligible. And so I'd ask you, what is Paul Harris Society? A Paul Harris Society, the Paul Harris Society, is an organization that says, if you join that, you make a commitment that you're going to give $1,000 every year to the Rotary Foundation. Now you can do that monthly. It's $80, $85 a month. You can do it quarterly, obviously $250, or you can do it in one lump sum at your discretion. But that's what a Paul Harris Society person is. To be eligible, in this case, they have one person that gave $1,000, but they weren't a member yet of the Paul Harris Society. And so they got 1 out of 8, which is 12.5. If you look down here at the bottom, you can see that all of the members, you can see the new ones don't count against you. And you can see when they, apologize. Let's see here. There we go. We can see when they gave, when they achieved their giving, at least giving to the foundation. You can see when they achieved at least a $25 minimum. You can see where they achieved the $100, and then you can see also when the one individual achieved Paul Harris Society eligibility. So again, all of this is a good information. This is one you won't necessarily look at all the time, but you would certainly look at towards the latter part of the year. If you're a club officer this year, 1920, you certainly want to look at this. You want to see where your club stands, and if you need to do some encouragement, do a drive or whatever to help your club achieve these banners. We have a number of clubs in our district that have been receiving banners year after year after year, and so it's a good motivational piece for your membership. The next one, this is a pretty in-depth piece, but again, I would encourage you to look at this. This is our club fundraising analysis. This is for the Pittsburgh Rotary Club. I chose that one again because of our district governor designee, Carolyn. But it gives us a lot of information. We'll start up here in the left. Again, annual fund goal. They had an annual fund goal for this year of $2,190. You can see that they didn't set a goal before. Briefly, I would just challenge all of our incoming club presidents. I know we talked about this at Lone Star Pets, to make sure you set your goals. And foundation is one of them, just like you'd set one for membership, so just like you'd set them for the service opportunities. You can see what they've given. This is a very generous club. They've given every year. And you can see here, this is what they've given to the annual fund. And then over here, you see total contributions. And you can see that there's a difference. In this year, they've given $35.85 in total contributions, of which $28.35 went to annual fund. And so you say, okay, what's the difference? Generally, the difference in those two numbers is Polio Plus. And so in this case, they've given $750 so far this year to Polio Plus. You go down the list, you can see last year they gave $22.20. The year before it was $1,900, a little over $1,900. And so again, very, very generous in their support of both of the annual fund and Polio Plus. The point that I think is very important about the annual fund is to remember is that again, 3 years later, 25% of that total comes back to that club to use in a club project matching grant. And so you'd want to look at that. Below over here, we have the annual fund per capita numbers. If I can get my cursor to help me out here. There we go. And you can see that right now they're at 86. And you can see the district's at 65. I won't spend a lot of time on it, but our goal as a district and our goal for every club is to at least be 100 in both. So we've got a little ways to go, which is normal. Normally, the bulk of our giving comes at the end of the year, May and June. Certainly would challenge every one of you, certainly club presidents, sitting club presidents, foundation chairs, and so on, to make sure your clubs get their gifts into the foundation and your members get their gifts into the foundation to try to make sure that we raise that number up well in excess of 100. We've been able to do that for several years, and we certainly get recognized for that. Below that, you have membership numbers. You can see their numbers have fluctuated between 31 and 37 over the last 5 years. And then below, you can see E-Ray members as well as sustaining members. Again, E-Ray, every Rotarian every year. And you can see that almost every year they're 100%. I think that speaks very, very well of their club. You can see they're also have had years where they've been, a large number of their club have been sustaining members. They don't have any Paul Harris Society members, which is what that tells me is that all of their members are generous. It's not just one member or two members that are doing the bulk of the giving. Okay. And then next, we're going to transition to international service projects. We talked about this at PETS. And so we have some options that I'm going to outline. I'm not going to spend a great deal of time, but I want to make sure that you're aware of. The first one is that we're going to do a district project, District 5830 project, which is going to be part of Project Cure. That acronym basically is about hospital equipment that goes to needy countries. And in this case, this one's going to go to District 4140, which is in the area northwest of Mexico City in Guadalajara. One container is $25,000, and we're going to use DDF that we have. District Governor-elect Jack has determined that this is a good, worthy project. There are actually going to be 3 containers, but our district will support one of those. The Marshall Rotary Club is going to do a couple of projects. The first one is going to be an elementary school restroom down in San Luis Potosi, Mexico, which again is also in District 4140. It's a $10,000 project. It'll be a mixture, half and half of BDF and cash. And then the next one is the purchase of an ultrasound machine for a health clinic in San Felipe, Mexico. This one's just a little less at $10,200. I say this, all 3 of these projects, if they have perked any interest in you and in your club participating on an international level, and you would like to tag along, any amount, cash or DDF, if you want to do it as part of your club's club project grant, reach out to me and we'll figure out a way to make that work. It's a great way to get your club engaged in doing international service. The fourth one on the page is the wheelchair project. This has been ongoing for years and years down in Mexico. We talked about it at the foundation banquet. Actually, the Atlanta area Rotary Club purchased some wheelchairs with their club project grant just this past year. And then last spring, we had clubs throughout our district purchased, I think it was 15 wheelchairs, and they take them down to Mexico. I'll show a picture here in a minute, where they take them down there and they are distributed to people that need. There are certainly other projects available if these don't interest you. I mentioned at Pets as well as at Foundation Banquet. This is the 100th year. The upcoming year is the 100th year of Rotary in Mexico. And so they have a goal of 100 projects. And actually there's several hundred projects that they've come up with. And so if you have an interest, and I know we've had several clubs reach out to me, Henderson, Tyler, Longview, and even some other smaller ones wanting to find some. So if these don't appeal to you and you're wanting some others, reach out to me and we'll figure out a way to let you do that, because I think it's a good way to engage. And of course, opportunity will come, I hope, next November to go down there and see some of this work. And then just pictures of medical equipment, and then certainly our restroom project, and then the handling of wheelchairs, and certainly the difference that makes. Last topic that I would want to address tonight is the Rotary Foundation COVID-19 Response Grant. Rotary International has allotted $3 million. That sounds like a lot, but I have a feeling that it's going to go pretty quickly. And so any district or area affected can apply for a grant. The last time I checked, there was 350 plus cases in Northeast Texas. I don't know how many there are in Southeast Oklahoma, but we've been affected for sure. I'm a part of the board for a local hospital, and listening to what's going on in our area across Northeast Texas. I think we're blessed in a lot of ways, but I don't know that we've seen the very end of it yet either. I don't know that we've peaked. So anyway, these grants must adhere to terms and conditions for Rotary disaster grants. So it's similar to a grant, say, for hurricane relief or earthquake victims, or you name it. But they have a maximum of $25,000 per district. They can be used by districts or distributed among clubs within the district. So we could apply for one, and we could say as a district, we're going to send the money to X, whatever it is. We could also reach out to engage clubs that way the money can be spread across the district. Make sure that it's used in the best way possible to affect as many people. The district governor or the district foundation chair have to be the one to apply for the grant. I can certainly tell you I'll be glad to take this on, but this needs to be a group effort. So I'm looking for people that want to be a part of this and think, hey, this is something that we need to do, and we'll help. A couple of points that I would make. Examples, there are some districts in our zone, zone 31, that have purchased personal protection equipment for hospitals. I know the hospital group that I'm with, Christus, they feel very well stocked and very well prepared. I don't know if that's one we do or don't. Certainly we could purchase masks for nursing homes in across our district. You know, I know another group, not Rotary, but they purchased hand sanitizer for first responders. And then the last one that I list there is the donation to the food bank. I've had some conversations with Carol Greenwald, who's on the board for East Texas Food Bank. Certainly one that I think would be good, because they certainly support almost all of Northeast Texas. I'm not sure if they get all the way to Texarkana, and I know they don't bleed over into Southeast Oklahoma. So we need some help from folks up there, because this needs to be everybody. You know, it needs to not just one particular area. So we're looking for people that might want to be engaged. And I'll be honest with you, I'm certainly open to other ideas, because you know, these are just some ones that I've been exposed to and been made aware of. So with that, questions. I probably went fairly fast. I hope the information was clear. I'm going to unshare right now so we can see, and then I believe that District Governor-elect Jack's going to ask whatever questions come out.
Right now, we have 2-3 questions that have come up. If you have specific questions that you would like to share with the group, I would ask that you type them into the chat. And the questions right now that we have, Ted, the first is from our Assistant Governor, Barbara Turner. who wants to know about upcoming heart-to-heart programs.
Okay, if she wants a heart-to-heart program, if certainly with clubs not meeting, I'd be happy to do one. I could do a Zoom meeting for their club. You know, I'd be glad to. I'm surprised that Barbara would want me to, because I would think she might want District Governor nominee Mike Groom, who went to Mexico in November. But if Mike's out of pocket, I'd do it. I'll always take the opportunity to speak. So, yeah, hopefully that answered her question.
Our second question is from Labricial McDonald, who asks if there is a rule of thumb on using club points to make a member a Paul Harris Fellow, and how long do clubs keep their points before they expire?
To my knowledge, points don't expire except when a person passes. Carol Greenwald, I see your face there. If you want to nod your head, is that right? When a person passes away, the points pass away. But as far as a club's points, they're there as long as the club is active and engaged. And so as long as that club is in place, they go. As far as using those points, I think it's like every Rotary Club. They're similar in some ways, but they're different in most ways, or a lot of ways. I think it has to do with the culture of the club. I'd be the first to say, you know, some clubs want an individual to get their first Paul Harris, and they'll help them with the next ones. Some clubs, on the other hand, like to reward people for service with either a certain amount of points and those kind of things. So,
Ted,
yeah,
this is Trey Smith. The points of the deceased don't go away.
okay,
But it takes their family to approve using
okay,
them.
that would make sense. So appreciate that, Trey.
And from that standpoint, we probably need to ask Sam Scroggins, who had the question of what happens to points if a Rotarian passes, if that answers his question or if he has a follow-up question. Angela Choi asks, do any clubs use their dues to match foundation donations?
There are a number of clubs that build into their due structure money that goes to the foundation. So such that if they do their dues quarterly, a portion of their dues might be $25 or $50 or whatever to the foundation. So there are clubs that do that, and there are clubs that don't. And so it just depends on the club. It would certainly be something that the club would have to take certainly to their board and into their membership to make sure that that's something that they want to do.
Then John Jetter asks, what is the mechanism to apply for COVID-19 grants within our district?
The mechanism, if I understand the question correctly, is we will do a district grant request application, which I will do that. And but in order to do that, a couple of things. One, we need to make sure that that we have individuals that say, yeah, I'd like to be a part of making that happen. So I need 3 or 4 or 5. I certainly need somebody from Southeast Oklahoma, Rochelle Corey, or one of those, and then people spread from wherever. And then we would make the application. I have the application. You know, it's not that hard to fill out. You just got to follow the steps. But we need to make sure that for instance, if we want to support the food banks and provide the purchase of food for people, you know, obviously impacted, loss of jobs, food insecure, if that was the project that we wanted to do, and then we would see about, okay, because the application states which food banks would you be wanting to support? And so we would identify those. Carol Greenwald's been helpful in the sense that he's been able to identify where all the ones that are active right now, because some food banks in some of the cities have quit operating, but a number are still active. And so we would apply, we would get the funds. When the funds came, we would disperse them to those places, and they would use it for the purchase of food. So
One possibility for us is that the food bank covers most of Northeast Texas. This is food bank out of Tyler. Dennis Cullinane is the president of that. He's a member of the Tyler Rotary Club. And what he's indicated is most of the food banks are partner agencies that get their food from the food bank. One exception is Paris, and then it does not include the 3 clubs in Oklahoma, Pushmataha County and the other county up there. It also does not include over into Arkansas. So the large club in up in Texarkana, Wilbur Smith, over in Arkansas, that would not be included. So, but there is the possibility for us to find out who those other food banks are. And Dennis said that they would help us to understand about the per capita regions, that how many people within the various food bank regions are served. So, if we got a large grant and wanted to push that into food for folks that are in desperate shape through the food bank, they would help us to understand, well, so much would go to Clarksville and so much would go to Mount Pleasant and so much would go to Pittsburgh, so much would go to Gun Barrel City, et cetera, et cetera.
Thank you, Carol.
Yeah, our AG Rochelle Corey indicates that they have an active food bank and would be happy to find out if they have a shortage. She also has pointed out that they have currently, I believe, 4 cases of COVID in their area.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Rochelle.
And then Matt Fry indicates the Salvation Army in Texarkana works with Northeast Texas Food Bank.
There you go. So y'all can pretty easily see that if this is something we want to do. I know Jerry Pye from Marshall reached out and said he wanted to be a part of it. And I'm thinking that Carol Greenwalt and Rochelle Corey and anyone else that is interested, we could make this work. We can certainly do it offline, but we could make this work. And the thing that I think it's important that we know is it needs to happen quickly. $3 million will only go so far.
Ted, if we could go back to the question of points and applying points, there was a question actually that John Jetter and I were discussing earlier today with regard to assigning points, and if points could be assigned more than once.
No, points can be transferred one time.
And could you explain that briefly?
If I have 1,000 points to my name, I want to make Jack Welge a Paul Harris Fellow Plus, and I assign those points to him. They're assigned to him, and he gets a Paul Harris Plus, but he can't assign those points. He can't reuse those points to go anywhere else.
And then John Jetter came in and asked if the COVID-19 grant is in addition to the district grant and any DDF that is currently available.
No, it has not been. It's not. It's something that, a month ago I had a conversation with a number of zone people, and we were talking about, what the question kept coming up: what's Rotary going to do? What's Rotary going to do? And this was Rotary's response. But this is basically a part of their disaster response, and you don't have to use DDF. Okay. I've read through 2 applications, and I haven't seen any of that on either one.
Karen Maines has indicated that Longview Christian Ministries is giving away free produce at 506 North 2nd Street. Due to the fact that Cisco has no place to take it since the schools are currently closed.
Yep, very good. I'd throw this out there, something like that, Karen, and any of the Longview Rotarians, because you have a presence on Facebook. I mean, that's something you could put on your Facebook. We could put on any of the Longview and Marshall area, Gregg County, because people need to be aware of that. And it, travels so well by word of mouth, more so sometimes than through the news. So anyway.
And
Yeah.
that appears to be just about wrapping up all the questions. Angela Toy did indicate that she wanted to thank you, Ted, for the presentation. And I would certainly echo that. I'm sure all of us do. We sincerely appreciate your being here. And does anyone have any last remarks that they want to make before we talk about next week's meeting?
I just say one thing, Jack. Yeah, obviously, Shirley is going to make the PowerPoint available. I realize that it may or may not be clear. It was clear to me, but it may not be clear to you. If you have a question, the last slide in the slide deck, that's my contact information, or you can get it through Club Runner either way. But reach out to me, and I'd be more than happy to try to assist you in any way possible.
So
We
Ted,
also are recording this session, so I can send a link for the complete recorded session if you will just send me an email.
Very good.
Ted, thank you, and thank all of our participants for their attendance tonight. Our
Thank you
next
very much.
meeting will be next Thursday at 5:30, and we'll cover club finances, Rotary Club Central, and citation requirements. And it will be led by past District Governor John Jetter and our District Administrator Shirley Evans. And we thank you for your presence. Ted, while you're there and with your mic live, if you'd lead us in the four-way test briefly.
Sure. Please join me in the four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. First, is it the truth? Second,
Fair to all concerned.
third, will it build goodwill